and welcome to part 2 of the On the Ledge podcast, Atlas of Deadly Plants, series of minisodes, out just in the run-up to Halloween, just to get you in the spooky mood. And in this amuse-bouche of an episode, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Taxus baccata, aka the European yew, a tree that we associate very much with cemeteries and churchyards. We're going to find out why. First, a little reminder, if you want to listen to this book, it's now up on my Patreon. So go and have a look. You can buy it there. And if you are a legend or a super fan, you can go and listen to all 50 plants. It's going up on Spotify and Audible in the next few days. Fingers crossed. Unfortunately, I don't yet have the rights to use the cover, so it's got a temporary cover on there, but if you search for my name in the next few days, it should pop up. And if you want to buy a copy of the print version, then it should be available in all your local bookshops, as well as the usual online outlets. So let's get cracking on with talking about a poisonous tree, the European yew. I start the chapter on yew talking about an ancient wooden spear dating back to about 420,000 years ago that was discovered back in 1911 in Clacton-on-Sea, a well-known seaside resort in Essex in England. And this is considered by some to be one of the oldest wooden artefacts in the world. So already back in Paleolithic times, we were using yew as a weapon material. And that's important because this is not an association that goes away. If you are a student of Shakespeare and you've read the play Richard II, yew is described as double fatal in Richard II. Why? Well, because at the time it was well known that yew, as well as being a poison, was also a wood that was vital because it was the raw material for the longbow. So you needed a really strong and elastic wood to make a good longbow, and yew was it. And that is apparently one of the reasons why there aren't as many yew trees as there used to be across Europe, because we cut so many down to make bows over history. Little bit of botany here. So yews are what we call a dioecious species, which means that a tree is either a male tree or a female tree. So the female trees are the ones that produce the arils, these bright red fruits, each with the very, very toxic seed inside. Birds and badgers like eating these, but the seed passes through them and then obviously helps to make a new plant. The aril itself is not toxic, although the seed inside is very toxic. The male trees, on the other hand, well, if you've ever passed by a yew in spring and just been attacked by a massive cloud of yellow pollen, well, that is how you know that you're encountering a male tree, because those are the ones that release the huge amounts of pollen. Yeah, not good if you suffer from hay fever. Why do they turn up in churchyards? Well, there's so much association, so much folklore around the yew as a tree of death and resurrection. So they're very intimately connected with funerals. And we don't really know. There's no one reason why these trees were planted in churchyards. One idea, this one's a bit out there, but people thought that the vapours released by dead bodies would be neutralised by the yew tree. Also, it may have just been a practical thing that this sort of very sturdy tree protected the church from storms. We also hear sometimes that by having poisonous yews, it would stop farmers from letting their livestock into the churchyard to have a nice feed on the grass. One other one, just to throw into the mix, at one point before we could get hold of palms in the UK, people used yew branches. So having a nice convenient yew tree was another reason to have one planted in your churchyard. Again, it's a symbol of death and resurrection. One final theory on the yew trees in churchyards was that they were there before the church. So the idea that the Druids, who came before Christianity, obviously, saw yew trees as a sacred tree, had them planted in their places of worship, and then Christianity came along and supplanted those places of worship with churches, and the yew trees remained. So this is a tree that's very ancient and venerable in many ways. How is a yew tree going to kill you if you consume it rather than being killed by a yew longbow? Well, the plant is full of taxine alkaloids, which attack the heart basically and cause heart to malfunction and go arrhythmic, and you die if you take enough of it. So yes, it's intimately connected with the heart. We don't get poisoned very much by yew these days, although it is worth bearing in mind that if you have small children, they might be attracted to those little red berries. So caution is required. So if you want to read more about yew trees, do check out the Atlas of Deadly Plants. The illustration on this one I particularly love. There is a skull in there, there is a heart, and there is a longbow. So you've got all the main components of this story in a beautiful illustration. And I just think it's such an amazing tree as well. If you ever go into a churchyard, have a look for a yew tree. There are some really ancient ones around the country here in the UK, and if you Google ancient yews, you'll come up with lots of examples of ancient yew trees that you can go and visit and make a link with our ancestors. So I hope that's whetted your appetite for a little bit more of the Atlas of Deadly Plants. I'll be back tomorrow with news of a competition where you can win one of 5 copies of the book. See you then. Bye.